Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. YES Bank and CNBC-TV18 present the Growth Summit Vision for a $10 trillion economy in association with Max Life Insurance.
Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to YES Bank and CNBC-TV18 present the Growth Summit Vision for a $10 trillion economy in association with Max Life Insurance. I'm Swati Shahi. And well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the much-awaited conversation of the evening. Now, India's consistent economic growth is positioned to reinforce its global influence, with projections coming in from the Center of Economic and Business Research, which indicates that it is expected to ascend to the status of the third largest economic superpower by 2037. And well, to further decode India's position as a global economic player, we have a very interesting conversation, and to moderate the same, I would like to invite on stage Shruti Mishra from CNBC-TV18. A round of applause for her, please. And please join me in also welcoming on stage someone who has left an indelible mark in both the aspects of leadership and market, having served one of India's largest food brands, Amul, for over 30 years in multiple capacities, makes this leader truly exemplary. Please put your hands together for Jayen Mehta, MD, Amul. Over to you, Shruti.
Good evening, Ahmedabad, and very welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, before we talk about the Amul story, first tell us how beneficial has Atmanirbhar Bharat been and will be for global trade and for growth? And most importantly, what is Gujarat's role in building national self-sufficiency?
Thank you so much. First of all, before I answer this question, welcome to Gujarat.
Thank you.
You and we Gujaratis and CNBC TV18 are made for each other.
Yes.
हम यहाँ जो भी बात करें, टिकर नीचे दिखना चाहिए. So Amul is a bright example for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The story of Amul is known to all of us sitting here and all the audience here, but I just reiterate in a couple of lines. We started in the year 1946, almost a year prior to India's independence, with just 2 village cooperative societies and 250 liters of milk per day. And today, Amul is India's largest FMCG brand. Amul turnover this year for the brand will be more than 80,000 crore rupees, which is $10 billion. We handle close to 350 lakh liters. That's the current today's milk procurement, on an average 300 lakh liters of milk per day, 8th largest in the world. But more importantly, this model got replicated across India.
Yes.
And India became the largest producer of milk in the world. And today, India continues to be the largest producer of milk in the world, producing double the quantity of milk which the number 2 country, which the United States does, more than entire Europe put together. And the most important part of it, it's a source of livelihood for more than 10 crore families in the country. And milk is the largest agricultural crop of India. So you can imagine a small experiment of cooperatives in a small district of India has led to India not just becoming Atmanirbhar, but also on the cusp of becoming a dairy to the world. Let me put it in perspective. India today produces 24% of the total milk in the world. So 1 in 4 glasses of milk in the world is produced in India. In the next 10 years, it will be 1/3. So we have now opportunity to be a dairy to the world, and Atmanirbhar Bharat will become a global dairy.
All right. Very valid insights there, and thank you for taking us through the Amul journey as well. But sir, tell us, why is it so important for India to empower rural and grassroots producers, to achieve exponential growth, and how can they achieve that? How can we help them in achieving this scale, and how Amul has done for its dairy producers?
So as I told you, we are owned by 36 lakh farmers across 18,600 villages of Gujarat. So practically in every single village of the state, there is a dairy cooperative society. And this model works for benefit of not just the consumers by giving them the best quality product at the most affordable prices, but also giving the highest price of consumers' rupee back to the producer. So today, if any one of us buys Amul products and spends 100 rupees on it, 85% of it, which is 85 rupees, goes back to the farmer. This is the highest ratio anywhere in the world. a European or American or a New Zealand producer gets only 1/3 share of the consumer's dollar, euro, or pound. So this is where consumers benefit, this is where the producer benefits. And to talk about how it has happened in spurring up the economy is to give the numbers of what can happen if there is good governance. 20 years back, Amul's turnover was, or GCM's turnover was about 2,900 crore rupees. Today, this year, our turnover will cross 61,000 crore rupees.
Wow.
It is not that the number of farmers increased. Number of farmers were 24 lakhs, increased by 50% to 36 lakhs, only 50% increase. It's not that the villages increased multiple times. From 12,000 villages, we went to 18,000 villages. But the way in which the efforts went into creating the market on one side and supporting the producers led to a 20 times increase in 20 years. And this is what is the answer to the question that if you have the right policy environment, right marketing machine at place, right systems in place, and a vision, results can be there.
Very, very valid point. Good governance. You make a valid point there. But you know, as India moves up to becoming a $10 trillion economy, what lessons can we take away from the successful cooperative model that Amul has built?
Agriculture is the base of our economy. In terms of numbers, agriculture contribution is now less than 20%. Dairy is 1/3 of it, which means, as I mentioned, about the largest agricultural crop. So whatever we do to support agriculture, to support farmers, to support their incomes, and the doubling of income, which is the professed policy of the government, all this will help into supporting the number of people, which is more than 60-70% of the population in the country still depends on agriculture as part of their primary income. So this is where a combination of policies, which is pro-farmer, pro-development, and pro-market, is what is the way forward for our country. We also forwarded into one new area, which is organics, where consumers want food without chemical fertilizer and pesticides, and the producer also knows how to grow it. So if you are able to build a bridge, and if only 20% of us convert our regular food into organic food, the GDP from agriculture will double. So these are very, very small and objective steps one has to take, and organizations like ours are working using the cooperative model and building the country.
All right, sir. You know, like you mentioned earlier, Amul has unleashed the strength of farmers to create the largest FMCG brand in the country that sells so much more than milk today. And according to you, at a global stage, what is India's strength, the biggest superpower that we need to harness and we should possess, and we should become a global hub for growth?
Goodness of milk itself is actually not promoted or projected so well. Now, milk per se is a superfood because the ingredients or composition of milk itself renders it to be a product which everybody in the world can vie for. It's not just the fat or the lipids which give energy. You have the best quality protein in milk, you have the best calcium in milk, you have the best sugars of milk, which is lactose, and more importantly, the vitamins in milk. So sum of parts actually is much bigger than the whole. And this is where we as companies handling milk in such large volumes are trying to decode, find out value in every single element of milk, encourage the farmers to produce more milk, encourage the consumers to consume more milk, and more importantly, you mentioned about global superpower status. When we have this opportunity to be a dairy to the world, and 1 in 3 glasses in the next 10 years in the world is going to be produced from India, you can sense the kind of optimism and the opportunity in this sector for all those who are members of it.
Absolutely. You know, born out of Gujarat, Amul has not only become the country's largest FMCG company, but it's also making a name itself globally. What has been the role of the government in supporting, this growth? And do you believe Gujarat can be a role model when it comes to economic prowess?
Of course, I told you about last 20 years, and you know who was at helm of affairs in Gujarat and now at the center, giving a 20 times growth in 20 years. So this is a time-tested thing. It's a very, very proven way of delivering certain things. And the vision, of course, and the support actually both go hand in hand in getting whatever results you want to do.
All right. I would now like to throw some light on the fabulous, most memorable ad campaigns. Is there an element of marketing that needs to be projected to India's rise as a growth leader? What is the effect of terms like Vishwa Guru and, Vishwamitra in building that image of global supremacy, even among a domestic audience who might be inspired to achieve global ambitions?
Uh, all the audience or the consumers are very smart. So they are not mesmerized per se by advertising. Okay, advertising catches your eye, it catches your attention. What works in Amul's case is the topicality in communication and conversation. And more importantly, since the people here are interested in the Danda part of it, we spend less than 1% of our turnover on advertising. Most FMCGs...
Less than 1% of your turnover.
1%.
Okay.
But it is the consistency, it is the quality, and it is the topicality. And a combination of all three which makes the brand get that appeal and traction with a very, very low spend, which means you are benefiting both the producer and the consumer and meet the overall objective.
YES Bank and CNBC-TV18 present the Growth Summit Vision for a $10 trillion economy in association with Max Life Insurance. YES Bank and CNBC-TV18 present the Growth Summit Vision for a $10 trillion economy in association with Max Life Insurance.
Amul ads have been iconic. You know, the longest running ad campaign, we've got the iconic imagery and the jingles. What are you doing now to stay relevant for Gen Z and beyond?
So what you rightly mentioned, the Utterly Butterly Amul campaign has been there since 1965. But still, today's Gen Z thinks it's her or his own campaign and not my grandfather's campaign. Okay, so this is the power of communication. Since 1994, we coined Amul Taste of India, which has been there as an identity for Amul and India globally. Amul Doodh Peeta Hai India since 2000, and we continue to build on it. We've recently, as we look at international markets, and all these lines are related to India, we coined a new theme, which is looking at promoting the goodness of milk. I talk about the composition of milk, which is fat, protein, calcium, and so on and so forth. But the goodness of milk is pure, milk is honest, milk adjusts so where, milk is trendy, milk is cool. And how these are the values which resonate with everyone in the world. And so now we are urging the world to be more milk. And this is where is our new communication for the Gen Z globally, which will help them understand what is Amul, where it comes from, what are values, what are the contexts, and how it resonates so well with their own individual cultures anywhere in the world.
All right. But I would also now like to talk about how Amul has had to adapt, you know, changing taste during its existence in line with consumer trends, you know, preferences, serving health-conscious consumers. How important is that kind of adaptability to maintain a leadership position? You know, it is a highly competitive market. So can you share some of the pivots that you've had to make? And, you know, also macro trends suggest that people today at the premium end are moving away from milk and dairy products. How are you going to tackle that?
Okay, it's a very good question because that's what continue to stay relevant makes every brand, live for its butter. Now, in our case, it's the macro trend, which is people moving from loose to packaged and branded, and we saw that accelerating post-COVID. So this is where one segment, which is the biggest for us, which is people shifting from loose milk to pouch milk, loose dahi to pouch dahi, loose paneer to packaged paneer, from loose khoa to packaged mithai. So we sense this trend coming up very well. And the kind of opportunity we realize that if only 5% of Indians switch from loose to package, you can add one Amul every year. So this is where investments are getting into it, capacity building is getting into branding, marketing, distribution, expansion network, all is happening at a very frantic pace. But more importantly, talking about the consumers and what are the shifting. So some of the pivots which we realized was protein. Each one of us needs to consume 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight every day. But if we do the maths, we are woefully short of it. Okay, so because as vegetarian society, the options of proteins are very less. But as I mentioned, milk is the rich gold mine of protein. Now, if from this protein, we have started launching high quality protein products, you get 15 gram of protein in 200 ml buttermilk at just 25 rupees. And same in case of lassi, a blueberry shake with 20 gram of protein, high whey protein concentrate with 25 gram protein per 32 gram sachet with BCCA, high protein curd and so on. So we've launched a range of high protein products, very tasty, very affordable, and this will the communication which will help us, every part of the generation, be it a young kid to a senior citizen, adapt to this product. Similarly, we all realized the immunity was very important for us. You need a good gut strength to become strong. And so we converted our entire chas, buttermilk, a very simple product, selling at just 30 rupees a liter, but 30 lakh liters a day across the country into probiotic. So what you get in goodness in a small bottle, it's costing 16 rupees for 65 ml, you get at the same product at 30 rupees per liter. So this is our effort to improve the immunity of our country, and the results on India's health will be very, very visible. And let me tell you, I'm telling not just by science, but as a personally, I've been consuming probiotic every single day for the last 20 years. And I have never had any antibiotic, any antacid, any other item which you require. So this is a very important product. And the third I mentioned about organics. And this is where if each one of us consumes food without chemical fertilizers, without pesticides, you will benefit your health, the country's health, and more importantly, the farmers will also benefit.
So you aren't worried about changing consumer preferences? You're
not.
ready for it.
We are on the ball, and then I can go and talk about how mithai is a segment we are tapping, fresh milk market we are expanding, varieties of products we are launching in each of these spaces at a pace which is unheard of. In a year, we have 80, 90 products launched, another 100 in the pipeline, and you are never short of it.
Okay, so you're not worried about consumers changing preferences, but are you worried about competition from private dairy players? How are you looking at, kind of protecting your market share?
See, competition is always welcome for a simple reason that as long as the competitors buy milk from Indian farmers and sell it in India or anywhere in the world, the economy benefits, the Indian farmer benefits out of it. We as a brand have to stay agile to see that they don't eat into our share. Higher share of voice in competition helps expand the category. But let me tell you with confidence that we are market leaders in every single category of dairy products that we operate, and we are very, very ruthless in protecting our turf and expanding the market share. So we're not worried about competition. We welcome competition. All we need is a level playing field, and that's about it.
All right, a level playing field. But Amul revenue-wise is India's largest food company. Do you ever get tempted to list?
It's contradictory to our objective. All the people sitting here look at the ticker, and the ticker price is decided on the profits, and profits is contradictory to our objective. For a simple reason, a private company can show profit by buying the raw material at the lowest price, sell the finished good at the highest price, and the maximum profit is for the owners, investors, or the shareholders. Okay. In our case, we do exactly the opposite. We buy the milk at the highest price because we are buying it from our owners. And obviously, consumers get Amul at the most affordable value for money price because we know we have a mandate to grow the market. So we work with very low cost, very low margins, very low overheads. And that's how we keep both sides of the spectrum happy. But tomorrow, if one fine day Amul thinks it has to get listed, what will it has only two options. Either reduce the procurement price, which means all the 36 lakh farmers will be angry. If you increase the consumer prices, then you lose market share. And obviously, consumers will be unhappy. So we don't want to do that.
So listing is not on the cards.
No, it is just not an option. People can be a part of the Amul journey by consuming more and more Amul products.
I have to say, this is the biggest standout for the company who's not looking at profits.
Or the other option is you can buy cows and become our owners.
All right, you touched upon this, but what are the new categories that you're currently seeding? You mentioned mithai, but if you could elaborate more on the new offerings.
So anything which the farmer produces, Amul is the brand, it's a bridge from the producer to the consumer. So we got into potato snacks. So we set up a plan 2 years back. We're expanding the capacity 5 times. We're getting into honey. We're getting into organics. We're getting into mithai. We're getting into premium ice creams, doubling up our ice cream capacities. Cheese capacity is also increasing by 50% in next 1 year. Each of the product categories we're finding out what the opportunities, what are the current share, what are the opportunities. We may think Amul has 85% share in the butter market, but the fact is only 1 out of 5 Indian consumes butter. So the opportunity is 5x of what we are doing. And depending upon the volume of milk we handle and the market of India, 5% shift from loose to package, which means you can sell 300 lakh liters more milk every year, which means add 1 Amul every year. So sky is the limit in every single product category. It's not that only new things will give growth. The existing ones will also give as much growth as you want.
Take us to the expansion plan. What does the next 5 years look for Amul?
India hosted this World Food India in November last year, and all the food companies did an MOU of investments of more than 33,000 crore rupees. Amul alone had done an MOU of about 11,500 crore rupees. As I mentioned, if we have this sense of the opportunity in the Indian market and abroad, the kind of investments we are looking at in expanding the capacity right from the village level, bulk milk coolers at the village, software, automation, to the ultimately in the market, expansion of processing capacities. Under PLIS scheme, in ice cream and food products, we are one of the largest investors. So we are tapping every single opportunity available in growing this and investing it suitably.
All right, before I let you go, one final question. What are the key milestones that India can look forward to en route a $10 trillion economy?
Sooner the better. I think the direction in which the country is growing and the economy is progressing, in the leaps and bounds of growth in the infrastructure, in the digital space, connectivity from the farm to the market, support to the cooperatives and the way the entire ecosystem is trying to be built up. I think we are on a trajectory which we have never seen so far. And to all those who are addressing to consumers in the country, there has been never ever going to be this opportunity of the youngest number and such a large number of young population available to us. I think sky's the limit for the growth, and any number the economists or the channel will project will come true in half the time.
All right, on that note, it's time for me to wrap up our conversation. But many thanks, Mr. Mehta. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you and wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Yes Bank and CNBC-TV18 present the Growth Summit Vision for a $10 trillion economy in association with Max Life Insurance.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.